Welcome to our Wednesday meditation service. And the word from the daily word today is, I trust in the absolute goodness of God. I have within me the power to make the goodness of God manifest. I trust this indwelling power as I live more and more confidently from my divine identity. The state of the world no longer troubles me because I trust God and the Christ within. When I am afraid, I put my trust in you. Psalm 5, 6 through 3, 56 through 3. Okay. We're going to do a call and response chant. And just don't listen to your voice. I mean, if you don't feel secure about singing, it's your feeling, it's your heart. It's just letting this chant take you into a oneness place. One with the Creator, one with all people, one with all the good that is in most people. I think all people are good, except they just, get into wrong concepts, and that's just the world. But you just want to meditate so that each day you start your day with the openness to the right concepts, that you hear the voice of God through people speaking, through even things on the radio and whatever, that you're lifted to a higher understanding. So let's chant. Let only love flow through me. Center my soul upon the path of peace. Make of my life a melody of love. God is in all of life. We are all one. Hope in my mind. Let kind thoughts flow through me. Centered in love. A love with no end. Make of my life a melody of love. God is in all of life. We are all one. Open my eyes to see love before me. Radiant love, shining through all. Make of my life a melody of love. God is in all of life. We are all one. Creator of all life. Bring us to the light. Hope in my heart. Let only love flow through me. Center my soul upon the path of peace. Make of my life a melody of love. God is in all of life. We are all one. Creator of all life. Creator of all life. Bring us to the light. Bring us to the light. Creator of all life, Creator of all life, bring us to the light. Bring us to the light. Bring us to the light. We walk in the light. We are the light.
Because in unity, good evening, everyone. Because in unity we believe that the kingdom of heaven is a state of consciousness. And we are seeking to prove the law of God, which is the law of life. That's what we're about doing. And if you've looked into the teachings of the spiritual sages down through the ages and into the teachings of Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, the founders of Unity, and into the teachings of Edgar Casey, you will find that each of these teachers extols the concept of peace. which is a mystical state that they are referring to. Because it's not peace the way the world defines peace. In the world definition of peace, a person has peace when his or her expectations are being met, his personal desires are being met, and conditions and circumstances are going along with the person's wants, desires, and demands, then that person will have peace. But the peace that is being related to us from the masters is a mystical peace that is not contingent upon circumstances meeting our expectations. And when you realize that, you say, wow, it's speaking about something that everybody should really want. And the fact of the matter is that peace and understanding go together. You couldn't have one without the other. If you have peace, true mystical peace, that is not contingent on circumstances meeting your expectations, your desires, your dictates, your beliefs, and your demands, if you have that peace that transcends that, then you have understanding. And you can never see them apart. If you have understanding, you will have that peace. I knew of that particular ideal, that peace is the measure of your spiritual awareness. I knew of that when I first, early on, heard it related through the teachings of Edgar Cayce, the readings of Edgar Cayce in New York City. And it's been helpful to me over the years, even in those early years. When I went to the Unity Ministerial School, it was helpful to me. But even before then, you see, before I went to the Unity Ministerial School, I was really being tossed to and fro, trying to get my life together. But at some point, I applied for Bangor Theological Seminary. And you could be of any particular Christian denomination and go to Bangor Theological Seminary. But you really couldn't be into unity or anything like that. But at the time, I wasn't related to unity at all. I had been involved with the Edgar Cayce Foundation. And so when I went to Bangor Theological Seminary, I was going to have to do like 6 or 7 years to become a master of divinity. And that is to fill your head with all this theology. While I was there was a history class that I had to take, but many of the students had to take it as well. And it was a terrible class because the history teacher literally was I don't know what was in his consciousness, but there was no leeway in his understanding. In that class, if you wound up with a 69 grade, you failed and had to come back and do it over. You had to get a 70. You had to get that 70 points, that 70 percentage in his class. And what he did, how he ran his class, he gave you tons of reading. You know, you had the class 3 times a week. He gave you tons of reading. And at the end of the week, each week, he would give a mini quiz on paper. You had to fill it out. And he'd give it back to you the following week with a mark on it, how you did. And so you go through the whole, I think it was 6 months. It was like a semester. And you're getting all of these quizzes back with the marks on them. And then at the end of the term, you knew that you were going to get a final exam. And the way it worked was you had to total up all the marks you got and average them out on those little quizzes that you got every week. And whatever that mark was, after you totaled them out and it came to the average, whatever that mark was, that along with your final exam, the mark you got on the final exam, the two were equal. They would be combined and then divided by 2, and if you either got a 70, you passed, and if you got below a 70, you failed and came back. And that's how straight and narrow and unmoving this particular history teacher was. So I'm going through this history class, and I'm also working with Norma. We were working as managers of a small town and country motel. And I had to, when I left school, I had to go to the motel and do maintenance and cleaning and snow shoveling and everything else that went with it. I didn't have a lot of time for study, but I gave it what I could. I studied what I could, when I could. Well, as we reached the end of the term in this history class, everybody was panicked. They had a coffee room in that Bangor Theological Seminary, and the students were in there bemoaning their fate. I've got to get an 84. I've got to get a 90. I've got to get 87. They're just all total panic that they're not going to be able to come back. So someone in the class who got to know me, I had some friends there, said, Jack, what do you have to get to pass this course? I said, I don't know. He said, you don't know? All you have to do is add up all the quizzes that you had, come up with the average, and then you mark that against, the final exam. You add them together and divide by 2. That's it. That's your mark. I said, I don't know what I got on any of those quizzes. He said, you don't know? I said, no. As soon as I got them back, I threw them away before I looked at the mark. And he said, wow. And why did you do that? I said, because I gave the history class the best I could give it. I did the reading to the best of the time that I had to do the reading. And that was it. I did my best. I have nothing to be concerned about. And I have peace throughout, because whatever's going to take place is going to take place. I haven't failed at anything. I don't hold anything against myself. And that's the way I handled the history class. Fortunately, I passed. I think I got a 74 or 5 or something. I passed that history class. But I didn't stay at Bangor Theological Seminary. They were already had problems with me, because I was, coming up in class discussions about different metaphysical things in the Bible that they weren't up to. But peace, that kind of peace, means that you're not taking stock of yourself over and over and over again in your life. Always taking stock. How did I do? What do these people think of me? How's it going to go on this job? Will I get by? Will I not get by? Will I be able to get some sleep tonight, because I'm really concerned about what I have to deal with tomorrow? All of this kind of thinking is counter to reality. If you live and you do your best at what you do whenever you're doing it, then you should not have any misgivings. Why would you hold anything against yourself? Other people may say, well, you failed. You didn't do the job the way we thought, we expected it should have been done. And inside yourself, you're free, because you say, I did the job the best I could do it in the time that I had to do it. So you see, that's what we're really talking about here. And what we're attempting to heal in our awareness is this illusion of separation. Because if you finally get over the idea of being a separate body-mind, an ego-centered self, attempting to please the outer-directed world, if you can get over that, you'll start to really develop spiritual, mystical awareness or divine awareness, so that you'll be able to deal with the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, the changing tides of circumstances which are always changing. To have this consciousness of peace is to release the whole concept of your ego-centered idea of living up to the expectations of others, living up to the expectations of the world, living up to the cockamamie crazy consciousness that the world lives in. If you simply are in touch with doing your best at whatever you do, you're free. If you give yourself permission to be free, if you're always trying to measure yourself against somebody else or something else or someone else's definition of this or that, then you're never going to be free. So I'm going to share this with you from A Course in Miracles. Now let me share the Bible quote first. The object of our spiritual journey is to prove the law of God. And that can be simply put this way. Thoughts held in mind produce after their kind in manifestation of your life. So, if you understand that, you realize how important it is to be aware of not allowing a lot of disjointed, ignorant, limited ideas to play upon your awareness. You simply let them go because they don't have any purpose except to undermine your happiness and your peace. But it helps us to understand this. This is the Master of Life speaking. And he's speaking about the hypocrites, the Pharisees and scribes of his time. They're really like the politicians of today, if you listen to this. They bind heavy burdens hard to bear, and they lay them on the shoulders of others, but they themselves will not move them with their finger. They do all their deeds to be seen by men, for they make their phylacteries broad and their fringes long, and they love the place of honor at feasts and the best seats in the synagogues and salutations in the marketplaces and being called rabbi by men. But you are not to be called rabbi, speaking to those who would be disciples. For you have one Father, and you are all brethren, and call no man your father on earth, for you have one Father who is in heaven. For so many people in our modern age, they are removed from the idea of this Christ. Removed from it. They become so cerebrally oriented. And we're all involved in head thought. But imagine what a carpenter's son, if you think historically, this carpenter's son said, my words will never go away. It's like, if you're thinking historically, 2,000 years ago, a carpenter's son speaking to the hierarchy of his time, these characters walking around in these fancy robes and taking up the whole concept that they know what God wants and they will be there to show you what you have to do to be right with God. And he said, oh, well, that's kind of like, it's too limited. And he said, so my words are never going to go away. Heaven and earth could pass away, but not my words. So we really would take, some hard look at this. You're not to be called special. You're all brethren. You have one Father, you have one consciousness, one God, one presence. And that intelligence is what we need to align ourselves with. That one presence we know to be God. Let me share this with you from A Course in Miracles. I'm going to move to the whole idea. Listen, what we're talking about tonight, I'm talking about tonight, is this. You're here to prove the law of God. And understanding these things, or getting in touch with these two truths, you're on your way to proving the law of God. There is a light in you, and this is from A Course in Miracles workbook, lesson 189. There is a light in you the world cannot perceive, and with its eyes you will not see this light, for you are blinded by the world. Yet you have eyes to see. It is there for you to look upon. It was not placed in you to be kept hidden from your sight. This light is a reflection of the thought we practice now. I feel the love of God within me now. To feel this love of God within you is to see the world anew, shining in innocence, alive with hope, and blessed with perfect charity and love. Who could feel fear in such a world as this? It welcomes you, rejoices that you came, and sings your praises as it keeps you safe from every form of danger and of pain. It offers you a warm and gentle home in which to stay a while. It blesses you throughout the day and watches through the night as silent guardian of your holy sleep. It sees salvation in you and protects the light in you in which it sees its own. What could you gain in the material world? What could you amass in the material world that could match the awareness of the presence that gives you continual peace of mind? What would you pay for something like that if you could get it, if they could give it to you in a pill? What would you pay for that? And this mystical peace brings joy. It's like floating above the insanity of the world. I'll read this to you again. There is a light in you the world cannot perceive, and with its eyes you will not see this light. For you are blinded by the world, yet you have eyes to see. It is there for you to look upon. It was not placed in you to keep hidden from your sight. This light is a reflection of the thought to feel the love of God within you now is peace, shining innocence, alive with hope, and blessed with perfect charity and love is the world. Who could feel fear in such a world as this? It welcomes you, rejoices that you came, and sings your praises as it keeps you safe from every form of danger and of pain. It offers you a warm and gentle home in which to stay a while. It blesses you throughout the day and watches through the night as silent guardian of your holy sleep. It sees salvation in you and protects the light in you in which it sees its own. Okay, we're moving very close now to the definitive idea of proving this law of God. It's coming to us this way. Yet in the world of hatred, equally unseen and inconceivable it is to those who feel God's love in them. Their world reflects the quietness and peace that shines in them, the gentleness and innocence they see surrounding them, the joy with which they look out from the endless wells of joy within. What they have felt in them, they look upon and see its sure reflection everywhere. What would you see? What would you see? What would you want to see? The choice is given you, but learn and do not let your mind forget this law of seeing. You will look upon that which you feel within. If hatred finds a place within your heart, you will perceive a fearful world, held cruelly in death's sharp-pointed, bony fingers. If you feel the love of God within you, you will look out on a world of mercy and of love. So, I'll read this again, but it's so clearly pointing to what we study here. No two people are living in the same world unless they're enlightened. And it comes down to you're living in the world of your beliefs, your deepest beliefs. And it's telling you if your beliefs tend toward fear, hatred, concern and worry, well, your world is going to reflect that. You'll have reason to do it. You'll say, oh, look, but in the real world, this is what's happening in my life. No. Circumstances are not the cause. Your awareness is the cause of circumstances. So I'll read this again. Yet it is the world of hatred, equally unseen and inconceivable to those who feel God's love in them. Their world reflects the quietness and peace that shines in them, the gentleness and innocence they see surrounding them, the joy with which they look out from the endless wells of joy within. What they have felt in them, they look upon and see its sure reflection everywhere. You know, what this reminds me of, some time back I got really interested in people's faces. And if you look at their face, sometimes you can see a lot of sadness or a lot of suffering that they have endured. And sometimes you look on a face that is filled with, joy. And sometimes on a face that's filled with peace and understanding, wisdom and light. What would you see? In other words, what is it you would want to see? The choice is given you, but learn and do not let your mind forget this law of seeing. You will look upon that which you feel within. If hatred finds a place within your heart, you will perceive a fearful world held cruelly in death's sharp-pointed, bony fingers. If you feel the love of God within you, you will look out on a world of mercy and of love. This is the living way into the consciousness of God. And if we're looking at there being any sacrifice in the process, the only sacrifice is the limited awareness that has held us in bondage, held us in fear and concern and self-intimidation. So if we're willing and open, we can start to really operate in mindfulness of holding a positive feeling about ourselves and about others. And we will watch, because that will prove that life will become more harmonious. Things will work your way. There will be joy and happiness, not necessarily contingent upon circumstances, you hitting the lotto or anything like that. You may. We did have a Unity person hit some great Powerball in New York City for $370 million. But that's not the goal. The goal is, can you live the life you're living with joy, peace, and love? I'm going to conclude this with this particular Course in Miracles, 187 in the Course in Miracles workbook. At God's altar, Christ waits for the restoration of himself in you. God knows his Son as wholly blameless as himself, and he is approached through the appreciation of his Son. Christ waits for your acceptance of him as yourself, and of his wholeness as yours. For Christ is the Son of God, who lives in the Creator and shines with his glory. Christ is the extension of the love and the loveliness of God, as perfect as his Creator and at peace with him. Blessed is the Son of God, whose radiance is of his Father, and whose glory he wills to share. There is no condemnation in the Son, for there is no condemnation in the Father. Sharing the perfect love of the Father, the Son must share what belongs to him, for otherwise he will not know the Father or the Son. Peace, peace be unto you who rest in God, and in whom the whole sonship rests. That sounds like the definition of, if you wanted to define salvation, that was probably it. To arrive in the awareness of your core nature. So you see, made in the image and likeness of God in the book of Genesis, that image and likeness remains with us. That light is within us. That light consciousness, that beauty of God awareness exists as a potential within everyone. If we bring that into expression, we'll find life truly worth living. So we're going to take some time to meditate together. Start by listening to the beautiful sounds of this crystal bowl. And then as we give ourselves permission to be here and be okay, releasing the hypocrisy of the mind that seeks to intimidate ourselves, let it go. You're beloved by the life and breath of God within you. So just be here and be okay with yourself. Practice being okay with the moment as it is. And then when we get to that place of silence, or we get to that place where we've been listening to the bowl for a few moments, we can take this particular affirmative idea into our awareness. There is one everything. Only one. In you, in me, in everything we see, there is one intelligence and love. There is only one everything we need to aspire to. In you, in me, in everything we see, there is only one presence, power, and peace. In this refined state of awareness, we will offer the names of those who have been submitted to our prayer list. As Norma calls the name, just let the thought, "You are whole," go to that name.
Sue Farwell. Peter Farwell. Kayla Farwell. Sigrid Farwell Ramses. Eric Farwell. Emma and Freya Olfsen. Hardy 3. Hardy 4. Teresa Vidaru Bracco. Jean-Paul Summary Vidaum. Oliver. Jeff W. Vonda. John Stovall. Sylvia Rodstadt. Joan. Chris Hurwitz. George Irwin and family. Sharon. Jennifer Kennedy. Eva. Joel. Andrea. Otis. Amber. Graham. Patty. Kathleen Monu and little man, the collie. Dee Dee Almeida. Lisa Leo. Tammy Maurer. Carol Marcy. Great Aunt and Lou Marcy. Sherry Zink. Peter Rose. Rachel Zink. Brian Conley. Kate Beltrami and family. Ruth. Judy. David. Pippa. Lorene. Jenny. Aaron. David Plow. Coda. Casados. Angeli. Emerson and Dad. Jamie Billieu. Janelle. Louis Golden. Marcia Golden. Kristen Blumquist. Allison Blumquist. Lou. Scooter the dog. Chester Phillips. Amanda Phillips. Laura Phillips. David. The World. Andrea. Marilyn Matthews. Michelle Pulio. Lori Miller. Jack Evans. Grace. Carrie. Nalinda and Chrissy Woods. Dan Spahn. Ray. Diane Spahn. Michael Spahn. The Ukrainian people. Peace between Russia and Ukraine. Paul. Sandy Spahn. Beth and Mike Dempsey. Debbie Anderson. The air, water, earth. All life on planet Earth.
Sandy Spahn, D. Matthew and family, S. Casey and family, S. Daniel and family, let us enter the vision of the new heaven and the new earth by seeing it rise in the consciousness of everyone sharing this Boulder community with us, and expanding to take in everyone who is sharing the state of Colorado with us, and expanding to take in everyone, sharing these United States of America with us, and it extending to every nation throughout the world, every culture, every creed, every person, receiving the awareness of the presence in every moment, and that creating the harmony of all creatures on planet Earth. As we pray, the light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. And God is love. To this we say, Amen. We will take an offering for unity now. And those of you watching this live stream, you can scroll down to the place that says donation. It'll give you the different ways you can donate to Unity of Boulder. And let us all bring to mind that financial gift we'd like to make. And let's bless that financial gift as we bring it into our hands and into our minds and into our hearts with this prayer. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, because I give. And so it is. We dedicate this tithe to the will and the work of the Spirit of Truth, the Spirit available to each of us, the Spirit that joins all of us. We dedicate this tithe to the victory of the Spirit of Truth. Amen.
I have the Sacred Feminine group tomorrow at 12 noon, and it's in the bookstore area. And I always try to give out healing remedies and open you up to the founders of Unity that are the most incredible human beings, especially Myrtle Fillmore. I'm kind of really love the female aspect of the movement. So she was the one who really discovered the new thought and then brought Charles in. And I think that's kind of important. And and I always like to give some remedies out that I know have worked with raising my children. And also, we're going to be having choir a week from this Thursday, and it's going to be a group that are going to learn the most simple, most penetrating, holy, beautiful music that is so spirit-filled. It's going to be very easy to sing. But what I want people that will express their soul when they sing. I want soul singers. So that means you give your heart and your love of God when you sing. It is going to be the most incredible music, and everybody in the congregation is going to want to sing with them. And we're going to ask you to, because you're going to be risen to a place where you're going to feel God. And we have to feel God at this time because we need the power of that feeling wherever we go now to lift this planet. Thank you.
All right, on Sunday we'll have our usual services, the 9 a.m., the 11. Santisha will be in the pulpit at the 11 o'clock service. And to all of you, we have tea and cookies. If you want to stay and chat through these doors to your left. So we'll see you inside if you wish to stay. To everyone, have a good night.